Hello, everybody. Until we get a theme song going here, I just started to start with a little shuffle pattern. Why not? Welcome to the Guitar Q&A live stream number 21. I've been waiting for this Saturday to roll around, and it's nice to see you guys. Saturday, October 21, 2023. Hopefully we're all in agreement on that, if nothing else, and that the guitar is awesome, and that Saturday is not such a bad day to hang out and talk about the guitar. So I see lots of folks here in the chat already. Awesome. I have my agenda here. I want to say hi to my mom and dad, who I know are out there. And hello to all you guys. I'm going to start looking for some questions right away. I got my list here, my agenda of things I can't wait to talk about, both new subjects and follow-ups. Because as I've said to you guys before, as the days pass between live streams, I think about what we all were chatting about and talking about, and I come up with new, there are things I want to add or clarify or whatever, you know. For example, just to get us started, we talked about learning via books, you know, musical instrument books, guitar books, compared to learning with videos. And I threw out the question, you know, how many of you guys learn just from books? How many of you guys learn just from videos? If you're like most of us, kind of on the spectrum of books and videos somewhere, where do you fall, you know? And then it occurred to me that it's not a great question. Here's why. To learn from a book implies that you either know how to read music or you are pretty good at figuring out what's going on with tab and the printed page. And lots of people have absolutely no, you know, that's just not how they learn. They never learned how to read music. Not your fault, right? Just that's how life was. And so learning from a book is just not an option. Just it's not going to happen, right? And I was thinking about that later. I thought, wow, it's kind of not a very helpful question for me to ask, you know. Some people learning by video is the only way. It's the least expensive way. It makes the most sense, you know. So that interests me that it, you know, if you're not comfortable reading music, period, you're probably never going to use a book, you know, unless maybe it's a book that just has like lyrics and chord changes or something like that. Everything is going to be video based. In a perfect world, we'd all get, you know, the same quality music education. And, you know, I don't know, that would be a perfect world as far as I'm concerned. Okay, HGP is here. HGP. I see those question marks. Asking a great question. You want to talk about me? I'll talk about me. All right. HGP is asking, how did you get your website started and lessons, and how did you make it work? So you're asking about my website, which is song-bike.com. That's my website. First came the YouTube channel. So how about if I start with a quick version of the YouTube thing and then a quick thing on the website? I filmed a bunch of my wife and I filmed a bunch of videos for public access TV. 12 or 13. You think I'd remember? It's either 12 or 13. And they aired on public access TV. And then I was given the DVDs that were aired, you know, and I thought I'd post those DVDs on YouTube. And that's the beginning of my YouTube channel. Actually, the very beginning of my YouTube channel, one of my students would film a portion of our in-person lesson with his phone, right? I think he used his phone or tablet. And he said, how about if I make you a YouTube channel, and next time you teach this song to one of your students, you can send them over to your YouTube channel and they can see what I just filmed. And I'd be honest with you, I didn't give it a moment's thought. I said, yeah, whatever. Didn't even, this is maybe 2011, maybe. Didn't give it a moment's thought. But technically he set up my YouTube channel for me. And that's how it started. And then Music Fan says, lucky 13. We made 13 episodes. Yeah, 13 half-hour episodes. Okay, sounds right. You've always had a better memory than me. So yeah, let's go with that. And okay, so I get the 13 DVDs and I put my public access lessons on YouTube channel, and one of them gets traction, and that is the DCG trick. The DCG trick gets traction and gets it's I can't say it went viral, but it just got a lot more views than I expected, and then it went viral. And all the lessons went well. So that's how the YouTube thing happened. And then I got the idea to, well, I started doing little videos here and there. I don't think did I even have a proper camera? I think I might have filmed them on my phone at first. A lot of ups and downs. I made every mistake you could make as a beginning YouTube person. That's another conversation. But then I got eventually I got the idea to really buckle down and make one video a day. I was at a Christmas party, hosting a Christmas party, and one of the guys at the Christmas party said, "Hey, you should like post one video a day, just like catch a little guitar riff." I thought that's a great idea. So I did that for, I think it was all of 2016 and a little bit of 2017. And those became the 365 riffs for beginner guitar, which grew to about 399 because I didn't know when to stop. Yeah. Yep. So that's how that started. And then in the midst of all that, I got the bright idea to do what everyone else had done before me, which was to create a website where you would direct YouTube viewers and provide exclusive content, right? Exclusive content. It sounds so, fancy. And gated content, right? $10 a month. And it's still $10 a month to this day. It's still $10 a month to get lots of videos and stuff you can't get on YouTube, including PDFs, which leads us to Autumn Leaves, which we'll talk about Autumn Leaves today. That's the video I posted this morning with a PDF available for members of the website. So there it is. Not quite a nutshell, but in a couple of nutshells, HGP, that is how it all happened. How did I make it work? I'm still making it work, man. I mean, in the sense that it's a work in progress. All this stuff is a work in progress. I heard someone say something very interesting, and I think I mentioned this last time, but it bears repeating. I heard a guy say, "I don't trust anyone on YouTube who wasn't doing that thing before YouTube." And I've been teaching for a long time. And I started teaching in 1992. And, so about 20 years of teaching before I put anything on YouTube, right? Because there was not YouTube back then. So for better, for worse, I feel that makes me different than some of the guitar instructors on YouTube. Not all of them, maybe, but some of them, because I was just doing what I do in front of a camera instead of in front of a live human being. Okay, so thanks for asking, HGP. I hope that helps. Oh, HGP has another good question, which I'm glad you asked. In terms of like reading music versus reading tab. Yeah. It's when someone says reading, which one are they talking about? I guess, well, that's why the waters get a little bit muddy. When I ask folks, "Hey, do you ever learn stuff out of a book?" And they might, if they say yes, it's still not clear to me if they are reading the tab out of the book and taking an educated guess about the rhythms and the repeating and all that stuff, or if they have a certain degree of ability to read, let's call it proper music, which is not a great name for it, but real music, piano music, quarter notes and C sharps and all that kind of stuff. So some people don't read tab yet. If I do my job right, you all read tab, and chord diagrams and all that kind of stuff. So hi, Susan from Cape May. Haven't seen you for a while, Susan. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, when I talk about learning from books, someone might feel comfortable reading tab, but they might not feel the need to buy a book, or they might feel overwhelmed by the amount of information in the book beyond just the tab. I don't know. Like, that's why I'm asking you guys, say you don't read proper music at all. You never had piano lessons as a kid and your music teacher didn't teach that. Would you still buy a book as long as it had tab in it? There's a question for you. How many of you out there would buy a book as long as it had tab, and you're not even going to look at the alternative to tab, the proper music? How many of you would not? What am I trying to say here? And how many of you wouldn't bother buying a book at all anyways, because you can just find it on YouTube, right? There's probably someone teaching it on YouTube anyways, and you'd much rather watch someone's hands and hear them describe it than have to deal with a book. I don't know, I'm curious about you guys. That's all. I know a bunch of you, but I definitely don't know all of you. Jose, welcome. I'm going to say a few hellos. John, I see your question. I'll get to that in a minute. Chris, I see your question. I see that you're here with us, Chris, from New Jersey. Oh, yeah, another play along. We're going to do that, Chris. Different song, but we are going to do that. Okay, let's jump into another question. John says, how do I stop making the chords all sound the same? I bet you're talking about your strumming, right? That you know a handful of chords, but you have an instinct. So I'm gonna answer your question, John, as if you're saying to me, I know a bunch of chords, but when I start playing a song, I strum them all the same. I'm hoping that's where you're coming from, because that's a really common, yeah, okay, good. So yeah, let's talk about that. First of all, hey, if you have even 3 or 4 chords that you're pretty comfortable with, that sound consistently good, and you can change relatively quickly between them, you have achieved something. That's good. That's good. So give yourself a pat in the back. Then a good follow-up is different strumming patterns. And I wish I could tell you why. I'm going to grab a nice, easy E minor chord. I wish I could tell you why this particular strum pattern is something that a lot of us, not all of us, maybe not you, but a lot of us, we find ourselves doing without being taught. Down, down, up, up, down. Right? A lot of us just, I know I did. I just started doing that. It felt good, right? And there's not even a name for that. I think I call it the Folk Strum. In my book called The Strum Pattern Bible, I call it the Folk Strum because there's not a better name for it than that. It's a folky strum. That may or may not be you, John, but I've definitely met a bunch of students who can do that strum, but maybe they can't do much else. So if you and I were doing lessons, what I would recommend is, okay, let's assume you're using a pick. Let's talk about some other pick patterns. Okay, so I'm going to make this kind of quick, not because I don't love talking about it, but because I can't wait to answer more questions. I'm going to run through a handful of pick patterns that hopefully you guys don't know all these patterns. If you do, great, you know. Okay, so there's that one I just did. We'll call it the Folk Strum. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. It's not just the rhythm that's valuable. It's you got to do the downs and ups, just like I said, and it's not always easy. Down, down, up, down. Okay, that's strum pattern, our first one. Okay, the Folk Strum. Do not underestimate the value of simple, steady downstrokes. Oh, like we did Helpless for our play along last week. Downstrokes. That is a strum pattern. I know it seems rudimentary. That counts. Okay, don't underestimate that. Sometimes that's, if not the exact right thing to do, it's the right foundation. You know, you do that, and then you occasionally allow some up strokes to sneak in, but that counts as a strum pattern. What also counts as a strum pattern is quicker downstrokes, potentially with a little muting from your right hand. I'm going to do the D, A, G again, but I'm going to, how would I do 8 steady, quick downstrokes on D, 8 on A, 8 on G. D, A, D, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, A, G, D. Okay, sound familiar? Yeah, because there's songs that go like that. All downstrokes, a little bit of muting from the edge of your picking hand. By the way, don't overthink palm muting. It's not some ancient technique, you know. You don't have to, there's no trick to it. You just let your skin touch the strings. In fact, the less I say about it, the better. I'll probably just complicate things. again, might seem rudimentary, but that counts as a strumming pattern, you know? Okay, one of my favorites, the boom chick or boom chick pattern, boom chick or boom chicka. I'm gonna, how about E major? Let's give a little love to E major. If we call it the boom chick pattern, boom chick, I'm on my E major chord, hit the fat string with a downstroke, and then also with a downstroke, a light brush on maybe 3 or 4 skinny strings. Don't overthink it. That's the chick. Boom, chick, boom, chick. Okay, doesn't sound particularly complicated. It's not, but you can jazz it up a little bit by alternating between hitting a certain bass note, like the 6th string, and how about the 4th string, also known as the D string. So I'm alternating 6, strum, 4, strum. Okay, now my whole point here, remember, is to give you a bunch of different strumming patterns to get you away from whatever you're already good at, you know? Boom, chick. Boom, chick, boom, chick. Exactly which strings you hit on the boom part of this totally depends on the chord and to some extent your own personal taste, you know, at any given moment. But let's, you know, we could do even more on this whole boom chick business, but let's leave it at that. The boom chicka, same exact thing with a quick upstroke at the end. I'm going to stay on my E major chord. When I say upstroke, an upstroke, a light upstroke, which may only hit 2 or 3 treble strings. Boom, chicka. Boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, chicka. You can hear my booms were kind of alternating between the 6th string, the 4th string, the 5th string, the 4th string. It all sounds good, you know. Perfect time to keep your eyes glued to your picking hand, right? There's a time and a place for everything. So sometimes you want to look at your picking hand. Sometimes you want to look at your fretting hand. It depends, right? Sometimes you're so good at something you can stare out at the audience and let them entertain you, you know. Okay, so off the top of my head, those are a bunch of hopefully very clear strumming patterns. You know, you guys know I like to use that word clear rather than easy. So if I ever use the word easy, know that I didn't, but I didn't mean to. Or sometimes instead of saying the word easy, I say the word clear because it's a better descriptive word. You know, a clear pattern, something where you get it and then you got to go and practice it. You know, so it's not inherently easy. It becomes easy because it's clear and because you practice it a bunch of times because your brain gets it. You're like, yes, that's clear. I know what my job is. Now stop talking, teacher, so I can do my job. Like I've had students say that to me, like, stop talking. And you know what I do because they're right, you know? Yes, I do. So John, I hope that helps a little bit. And there's plenty more strum patterns in the Strum Pattern Bible. You got it. Okay. Available from song-bike.com. Folks, at the top of the chat, I posted that link to Sweetwater, my affiliate link to Sweetwater. Should you feel the need to do some music shopping, please use that link before you shop at Sweetwater. They kick back some of their profits to help support what we're doing here today. And I appreciate it. I appreciate Sweetwater. And I appreciate you guys. And that's at the top of the chat if you scroll up. I'll put it in probably later as well. Okay. Gregory, I'm reading your, hi Christian from Denmark. I still can't, I say it like, oh yeah, you know, he's here from Denmark as if that's the most normal thing in the world. Like, I can't believe it. Someone from Denmark is watching. That's so cool. Okay, Gregory, I'm reading your question. Yeah. Gregory is saying, I have a problem incorporating strum patterns with lyrics. I can play strum patterns and change chords with a metronome, yep, but everything falls apart. Yeah, everything falls apart when lyrics come into play. I know, yep. Such a common thing. I get it. Most of the time, the melody, the lyrics, have a different rhythm than the strumming. In general, the strumming is a repetitive rhythm because that's what music relies on to create this flow, right? This flow of vibrations of information, right? It's created in part by rhythm guitar, strumming chords, right? And the melody is, I want to say, independent of that thing. It's not truly independent, because then it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't sound like it works. But yeah, the melody is a different story. I don't have a quick fix. I can tell you what I've encouraged people to do. Number one, you have to potentially, you have to get even more confident with a strumming pattern and the chord changes. Potentially, I mean, you might be killing it and sounding great, but sometimes people are pretty good at the strum patterns and the chord changes, but not as good as they have to be to sing along. Maybe, but to answer your question more directly, I think of this as sneaking in, or sneaking up on the chord pattern, because you want to start singing along without scaring away your strumming pattern, right? And the chord changes. If you hum, mumble, engage your voice, right, without committing to quote, quote, singing, capital S singing, without committing to sing all the right lyrics at the right time. Mumble or hum along, did I say it right? Mumble or hum along, hum or mumble along, as a way to sort of sneakily get your voice in there without interrupting the flow of your strumming, That's one of my responses, because you are definitely not the first person I've talked about this. Another thing that comes to mind is you have to be so confident with the singing and the lyrics. You can't be processing. You can't be, you can't have any doubt in your mind about exactly how the melody goes, exactly how the sing is. So the cute answer I give people sometimes is you have to be either great at one or the other, either great at singing the song or great at playing the guitar part before you have any hope of getting the two of them together. And that's kind of a cutesy answer, but that is one of the things that comes to mind. A lot of us are kind of beginners at both. You're kind of a beginner guitar player in the best sense. I don't mean you just got your guitar yesterday, but you're getting your skills together as a guitar player, and you've arrived at a certain point where you can, okay, you got your GCD, you can strum, okay, you're there. And you are equally experienced or inexperienced as a singer. And now you're asking your brain to mesh those two things. And Gregory, this might not apply directly to you, but for a lot of people, they're not particularly experienced with either one. And yeah, it would help to be amazing at one or the other. And when I say amazing, I mean just extremely confident. So I realize that I'm not giving you a secret that only us guitar teachers know. The reason, by the way, why I'm not super helpful on your great question is I got my guitar and started making up little songs and sing along right away. And neither my singing nor my guitar playing nor my songwriting was particularly great. But I never didn't do it. So I'm assuming that gave me some sort of advantage in the long run. So that's why I don't have great ideas. I'll tell you the absolute number one pitfall. And here's the pitfall. Your voice is going to want to match your strumming rhythm. And songs just don't go that way. They just don't, right? Or vice versa. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Switch around what I just said. No matter how, you know what the strumming pattern is, but you may break out of that strumming pattern and begin strumming along with the rhythm of the words. So Helpless. There is a town in North Ontario. I'm choosing that because that was our play along last week, right? So imagine someone intellectually, they get that. Okay, got it. They go to play it, and here's what comes out. There is a town in North Ontario. And they know, we all know that's not how the song goes. But your brain doesn't want two different rhythms. They want one rhythm. Your brain wants one rhythm. Yeah. So that's the absolute number one mistake or trap you can fall into. Don't let your strumming hand follow the rhythm of the lyrics, because 99% of the time they don't have that kind of direct connection. I'm not saying it never happens, but yeah, that's not how it goes. So I hope some of those ideas help, Gregory. Hey Val, thank you for the autumn leaves comment. Val says, hello John, love the autumn leaves video. And what I want to do is our PDF. Yeah, I posted that PDF too. We're going to take a minute at some point. By the way, those of you who are here, what do we got? We got 38 people here. Holy cow. All right. It's like you turn around, there's a room full of people. Like, whoa, where you all come from? I was playing in a band one time. I was playing drums in a band. And I was getting towards the end of the night. Let's say it was midnight or something. And we had played pretty much every song we were going to play. And we maybe had 2 songs left. And I was zoning out. I must have been looking at whatever I was doing. I was not looking out at the quote, quote audience, which is essentially an empty dance floor at a local bar. And I must have really been zoned out, because I looked up, and not only were there something like maybe 30 or 40, youngish people there, but they were dancing to the song we were playing. I mean, I don't know. I have no excuse. But us in the band would look at each other like, where did all these people come from? And what are we going to do now? Because we only had like 2 songs left. So we did what anyone do. Recycling. I'm a big fan of recycling. I went back to the beginning of the set list and started playing. It turns out a different bar had closed, say, at midnight, and all the young people there knew this bar was open till 1 or whatever the case was. So they all went there to our bar. Life was good. Okay. So there are 38 of you. Don't forget some thumbs up, folks. I see 11 thumbs up. So that leaves 27 of you. Give me a thumb. 27 of you. I appreciate that. So here's the agenda. Here's some of the things I expect to talk about today. I want to go over the autumn leaves chord melody arrangement. I posted a video of that arrangement today, and there's a PDF of that song at my website. I want to go over that real quick. I want to talk about Steve Cropper. Happy birthday, Steve Cropper of Stax Records. I want to talk a little bit about Steve Cropper today on his birthday. We're going to metaphor for you. Here's the metaphor. Chords as dinner plates. That's right. Dinner plates, right? You'll understand when I do a deep dive into that metaphor. A deep dive into a metaphor. It's like the metaphors are piling up around here. We are going to do a play along. I figure about the halfway point, maybe about 30 minutes from now, we'll do a guitar play along where I play, sing, you play and sing, and the world is a better place. I want to talk to you about a really terrific guitar album. Happens to be mostly instrumental. It's not completely, but the emphasis is on the guitar playing. I just love this album, and it popped into my head recently, long story. I thought, I want to share that album with you guys. Guitar humidifiers. It's time to talk about guitar humidifiers for many of us. Now, I know some of you guys live in perfect climates where it never gets cold, but now is a good time. And I'm going to bug you more about my Christmas book. Here it is, getting close to Halloween. Those of you who want to create that Christmas moment where, if you celebrate Christmas, you may be the one to do this musical thing that creates a Christmas moment for your family or for your loved ones or whatever the case might be. And so I'm going to bug you a little bit for the next few live streams about getting this Christmas book because it's full of good stuff that you can do. So we'll talk about that. Okay. And don't forget, I always like to do this segment called Ask Me a Dumb Question. And that's your chance. Those of you who are shy or those of you who are thinking I don't know about my question. When I open up the forum to the dumb questions, there's your chance, and no judgment, right? Okay, no judgment. So those are the things on my agenda today. I'm scrolling down. I see you guys are talkative today. Look at all. Hey, don't forget the super chat option down at the bottom of the screen. That little $ is an opportunity for you to contribute to what we do here on Saturdays. Little super chat. Okay, Bruce, I see your question. I think I'm going to grab your question next, Bruce, because I think I've answered the questions before that. Okay. Bruce is asked a great question. Can you talk about your approach to practicing blues on guitar? What a great question. Blues is such an enormous field of study for guitar players. Number one, where do you begin, right? Where do you begin with blues guitar? The good news is, as long as you begin with something easy, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter where you begin. It's all good, you know? So look at that. A super chat has just popped up. What the heck? I see Stephen. Stephen, I appreciate that. Thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about, okay, I'm scrolling here. Let's talk about what you can, let's talk about how you can approach blues. Now, some of you have some blues guitar experience already, which is great. And I hope you all do, you know. The thing about pursuing blues guitar is it's a gateway. We all know rock and roll came from blues. We all know jazz came from blues. We all know country music was hugely influenced by blues. So elements of blues are American, my friends. American as apple pie. So I'm going to, I like rereading the question because words matter and the way you ask the question is important to me. So you said, can you talk about your approach to practicing blues on guitar? It's funny because for me, practicing and teaching are 100% intertwined. Even when I'm practicing, I'm keeping my eyes and ears open for some that I could teach maybe 10 minutes later. Or I teach 6 days a week, right? So unless it's Sunday, any practice time, maybe in between lessons, or if I have a cancellation, someone's sick, I'm practicing, it's extremely likely that something I'm practicing will show up in my teaching that same day, if not, within the hour. Okay. So let me throw some things by you here. We have a decision to make as blues guitar players. Are we thinking of ourselves as rhythm guitar players or lead guitar players? If we're thinking about rhythm, thinking of ourselves as rhythm guitars, right? What's rhythm guitar? Rhythm guitar, it's repetitive. It's the foundation of the song. You can't take it away because you wouldn't have a song anymore, right? These are ways to identify what the rhythm guitar, what the term rhythm guitar means. If we are thinking of ourselves as rhythm guitar players, and that's where we want to pursue, during a certain practice session as playing blues guitar, are we playing with a pick or bare fingers? Are we doing acoustic or electric? Just some of this stuff, it doesn't matter. There's certain riffs or certain things, it doesn't matter. But these are all, just to address your question. So let's put that aside for a second, rhythm guitar. If you're pursuing blues as a lead guitar player, it's a little more direct what you have on your plate. Blues scales, which some of you may know, are simply a pentatonic scale with one more note added. A pentatonic, to be very specific, a minor pentatonic scale is one note away from being a blues scale. You literally add one more note to a minor pentatonic scale and you have a blues scale. So if your approach to practicing, if you're in that mode, and by the way, you don't have to commit to only being a rhythm guitar player or only lead guitar player, but this is how I want to answer your question because it's a pretty, there's a pretty big difference between the two until you get really good at both and you begin blurring the lines between the two. That's fun too. Okay. So if you are practicing, or if I'm practicing as a lead guitar player in mind, blues guitar scale, I'm going to do an A minor pentatonic, and then I'm going to add that note and turn it into an A blues scale. So A minor pentatonic, and I will put this in the description of the video when I do the time stamping. By the way, why A minor pentatonic? It puts our hand in a nice central point on the neck of the guitar. That's all. Not much. I mean, that's my first answer to my own question. Okay, what did I just do? I started my fat E string. I did 5/8, pointer and pinky. Got to give your pinky some responsibility. Got to use your pinky. 5/8. On the next 3 strings, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7. Okay, I did that on the 5th string, the 4th, the 3rd. Got to use your ring finger in those 7s. On the 2 treble strings, we're back to 5/8 and 5/8. Okay, A minor pentatonic. Got it. Okay. How do you turn that into an A blues scale? Start off the same way, 5/8. Watch this, 5/6/7. Continue on, 4th string, 5/7. 3rd string, 5/7/8. That's the new note. That's the blue note. 5/7/8 on the 3rd string with your pinky, and then you're back to 2 treble strings, 5/8, 5/8. Okay, so I added 1 note. I added 6 on the 5th string. By the way, the name of that note happens to be E flat. And then when I had a chance to play another E flat, I played it again 1 octave higher than the first E flat. 8 on the 3rd string, use my pinky. That's the E flat. So when I say you're adding 1 note, I know it was 2 different notes, but the name was the same. They're both E flats, and they're just simply 1 octave apart. Okay, so if I'm a lead guitar, if I'm putting myself in the mode of being a lead guitar player, I'm going to practice blues scales, however many I know, however many I'm comfortable with, however many are in the book that's in front of me. And then I'm going to improvise. I want to improvise using even just one of those scales. So just then, now you guys know an A blues scale. How do you begin improvising? You go to YouTube. You do a YouTube search for blues backing track key of A. Okay, blues backing track key of A, blues backing track, however you want to put it. You're going to come up with, you're going to find dozens. You want to pick a slower one. The faster, so maybe put the word slow in the description. The faster ones, they get you agitated. They make you feel like you got to play fast, and you don't, but they're going to make you feel like you have to. So slow blues backing track key of A. Begin improvising with the A blues scale I just showed you, right? Do the same fingers that you would be doing if you were just practicing as a scale. Don't suddenly change to different fingers. For instance, your pinky, hopefully, was reaching up to the 8th fret. You're going to still use the pinky for the 8th fret, okay? Don't change, you know. So that's one direct way to improve your skills as a blues lead guitar player. That's absolutely what I have done, what I do now, which I'll do in the future. And a complementary to that, you can get books, and I'm sure there's videos that are like 100 great blues licks, you know, and they'll take a pattern. I mean, they'll take a scale, maybe even that exact, you know, scale pattern that you just did, and they'll show you cool phrases within that pattern. So then you won't feel like you're doing a lot of hunting around to try to sound good. You'll have some sort of, they'll present you with some stock phrases that are sort of, they're cliches in a good and bad sense. Okay, so that is my way of addressing your question in terms of lead guitar. And then, hold on, we'll get to the rhythm guitar in a second. Where'd you go here? Where'd you go? And spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about shuffle patterns when I start talking about the lead guitar. Where'd we go here? Okay. So in terms of practicing rhythm guitar, Bruce, to finish up your question here, you want to know as many rhythm guitar patterns, blues rhythm guitar patterns as possible. And there's lots of them. The shuffle pattern is kind of, you know, a pretty standard rhythm guitar, blues rhythm guitar pattern with tons of potential for little embellishments, little variations and stuff. In my electronic book called The Guitar Year One, I show that pattern, but with a bunch of variations too. Available for immediate download at song-bike.com. So I teach the shuffle pattern and I believe 3 cool little variations that are based on that shuffle pattern. And then there's a whole song that you can play all the way through. That sounds like a song. It doesn't just sound like a person doing this over and over again. Okay, so to get back to your question, Bruce, you want to learn as many blues rhythm guitar patterns as possible, and I'm always on the lookout for more because I don't know everything. Okay, so here's a favorite one of mine. I'm going to do this in the key of. I'm going to illustrate it in using a G. So I guess technically I'm going to be in the key of G. Based on I'm Tore Down by Freddie King. I'm Tore Down. Now I assume everybody who plays blues guitar, they think of this as the Tore Down pattern. I'm Tore Down by Freddie King. If there might be another, I don't know what else the reference point would be, but to me it's the Tore Down pattern. Notice, by the way, no chords, right? Those of you who have been working hard on your chords, F, B7, bar chords, that's great. Don't stop doing that. Just know that there are songs, there are styles that don't involve those chords. So this is one of them. In this song, the Tore Down, I'm Tore Down, it doesn't have conventional chords. That's fine. So we all should learn a whole bunch of blues rhythm guitar patterns. Notice, by the way, that this sounds fine on an acoustic guitar, right? It's not like you have to have an electric guitar to learn this to sound good. Yes, it was written and recorded, for an electric blues band, but yeah, nothing wrong doing an acoustic guitar. So what is the pattern that I'm doing here, by the way? Index finger, 6th string, 3rd fret, give it a down up. That down up, approach alternate picking, that is one way, that's one reason why hopefully this sounds smooth and flowing, because down up is a very natural movement. It's not punishment. It's sometimes people are like, oh, I got to do that down up thing, dang it. It's like, no, it's not punishment. It's a very natural thing. It takes a little, you got to remember to do it. Okay, 6th string, 3rd fret. I'm going to use my ring finger. You could use your pinky on this next note. 4th string, 5th fret. That, by the way, is a G 1 octave higher than the G we started on. I just jumped an octave. And like I said, you could use your pinky for that note. Notice I did a down up on that note as well. Next, same string, 4th string, 3rd fret with my index finger. Almost done. Last note, 5th string, 5th fret, ring finger. And then the pattern begins again. As a player, I'm glad I know this pattern because I like that song. As a teacher, I use this pattern a lot because it's a little bit of a workout. Even if you switch over to your pinky, then it's a workout for your pinky. Anything that makes your pinky and ring finger work, teachers love that kind of stuff. It allows me to discuss with a student this whole notion of an octave. What does it mean, an octave? Well, it's a note, and then it's equivalent note, same name, 1 octave higher. You got to jump across a couple, the 5th string to get to the 4th string. Remember that when someone says low G, high G, scientifically, the high G is vibrating at exactly twice the frequency, assuming your guitar's in tune, assuming my guitar's in tune. So yes, those are both Gs, and the scientific relationship is the high G, like I said, vibrating at twice the speed. I like this as a teacher because it allows me to, talk about down up picking again. And just as importantly, when you really know that pattern, you've got it, you can do it, it's great. Slide backwards 2 frets. Because if you really know it, you should be able to move it to, different frets. It's the same pattern, right? I just jumped way up to the 8th fret, 8 and 10. Okay, nice little combination. Let's call that the G riff, the F riff, where my index finger is on the first fret of the sixth string, and then way up to, let's call it the C riff, eighth fret on the sixth string, the note C. Number one just sounds like a good, nice family, G, F, and C. Number two, that's what you need for the song I'm Tore Down. And last thing, fifth string, third fret is also the note C instead of the eighth fret on the sixth string. So instead of rushing up to the eighth fret, when I wanted this C pattern, I call this dropping down towards the floor, okay? I drop down, so my index was on the fifth string instead of the sixth string. So there's an alternative. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up this question, Bruce. When I practice blues guitar, I think as a rhythm guitar player, I'm always on the lookout for more rhythm guitar patterns to add to my toolbox as a player. But like I said, as a teacher, I mean, I figure if I can do it, anybody can do it, especially if I explain it right, you know? Yeah, so, okay. Bruce, that I know is a super long answer. I hope that was, I hope that gave you some insights. Chrissy, hello from northern Minnesota. I wonder if you got snow yet. I wouldn't be surprised if you did. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about 50 minutes in here, and I'm gonna jump in. Oh, Bill, I see your question. I'll get to that in a minute. Bill, you're already asking a dumb question. It might not turn out to be a dumb question. That's all right. Okay, Bill, I don't see any question. Oh, Joe, I see your question. Okay. Charlie, I see your pizza-related question. I had pizza last night here in Connecticut. A beautiful thing. HGP. Okay, so HGP, I'm going to start with yours. I try to do these things chronologically. I'm reading. Okay. HGP says is asking about coated strings. Yeah, coated strings are a cool idea. I haven't used any for a while, but I remember when Elixir strings first came out, and you know, it's so in general, I think they're cool. I made a decision that I didn't want to spend that much money in the long run on them, but I have used Elixir strings a few years back now, and yeah, they sound great. They feel very unique. They last longer. And if you've never tried coated strings, yeah, go for it. Elixir, I mean, they're not the only brand anymore that puts out a coated string, and I'm certain that Elixir has a variety of different, you know, models of these strings, but in general, they do last longer. In general, they do have a unique feel, and you can decide for yourself, you know, if you love the feel. We're talking about the bass strings. To my knowledge, the two treble strings are still good old plain steel, like any strings would be, and they do sound a little bit different, a little bit, but it's been a while. So yeah, I say give them a try. Why not? You mentioned that it's for your 00 size guitar. So in general, I'm always going to recommend you guys using light gauge strings. You know, for acoustic guitars, those would also be known as 12s, meaning the skinny E string is 12 thousandths of an inch. I really don't recommend anything heavier than that. I just, yeah, you don't. Joe, you bring up the subject of jazz guitar. Yeah, jazz guitars is, you know, just like blues, it's a whole wide open field. And I know just enough jazz guitar to get me in trouble, but you guys have probably never seen me do a proper jazz video because, you know, I'm more likely to do what I did with Autumn Leaves, which is to take a jazz standard and try to play it in a way where you don't have to be a jazz guitar player to get the point across. And Autumn Leaves just worked. It just worked. It shouldn't have worked the way it did, but it worked. We'll go over Autumn Leaves in a little bit. When I say it worked, meaning to my ear, I know it's not, you know, the harmonies that I presented were not true jazzy harmonies. It's not full of different types of, you know, dominant chords and minor sevens. But I really like the way my arrangement turned out, where I can play it, you can play it, and it sounds like Autumn Leaves, and it's October. So So Joe, I don't have a. I wish you well in pursuing jazz guitar. I know there's a ton of jazz guys out there on the internet who are presenting good jazz information. I know because I've used it a little bit myself, and sometimes a student will say, "Hey, I found this guy. I like how he presented this thing. Can we go over that?" So I kind of get in through the back door, like, well, if this jazz lesson appealed to my student, okay, let's both look at it and let's figure something out. Like I said, I know just enough jazz guitar to get myself in trouble. Okay. Willie, you're asking a good question. He says, "Hey, Jonathan, love this live stream. Thank you. Do you have any tips for mixing rhythms on bass and guitar without a clash?" Well, obviously, if you're doing a specific song, you're covering a song, then you want to do your research as to what the people on the song are doing. What exactly is the bass player doing? What exactly is the guitar player doing? And that information is out there, But if it's you two guys, you're playing and you're just doing your own thing, writing your own song, for example, then it becomes an issue. Yeah. Well, you may either this is you playing with another person, or maybe doing some home recording, and you want your recording to sound like two competent musicians playing together. A starting point would be for the bass and guitar to do the same rhythm. You don't want that to be the ending point. I'm going back to my folk strum. I'm using the E major, down, down, up, up, down. So a starting point would be for the bass to imitate that rhythm. Dum, 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 dum. It's a little matchy, right? Matchy. I always say it's like wearing a red shirt and red pants. You match, but at what cost, right? So unless you work where that's a requirement, probably not a good fashion choice, red shirt and red pants, So for the bass to exactly match the guitar rhythm, it's like I keep saying, a starting point. But say you're writing a song, I definitely recommend starting there, and then maybe encourage the bass player to branch out. Chances are, if you've written a song and that's what the guitar is doing, you probably should stick with that. Whatever strum pattern you're using, you probably want to build a song on that strum pattern. And I would argue that the bass player has more flexibility than the guitar player in that context. So I would say keep the guitar going with whatever the pattern is, and encourage the bass player to imitate the guitar until they're ready to start branching out and adding or subtracting, listening. I know this is not a directly, what am I trying to say? You got to listen to each other. And this is true of everything. I just saw a very cool Pat Metheny interview, I guess. Just like a little sound clip of Pat Metheny talking, and great guitar player, Pat Metheny, right? And just for the millionth time, I listened to a great, experienced musician talk about the value of listening. So no matter what I say, all my advice, put my advice to the side for a minute, that imitating advice, all that stuff, and just know that nothing is as important as simply listening to each other. And there's listening, and then there's listening, like capital L listening. And that's something that we all should be working on, And I know that's a very, that's a very big topic, but the music is all about listening. It really, really, really is. I'm scrolling, my friends. Hey, how about I'll try to grab one more question, and then we'll do our guitar play along. New song this week. So now is the time. If you're not driving or operating heavy machinery of some sort, grab your guitar, make sure you're tuned up. Remember, if you don't have a tuner, there's many apps out there. Like I use one called Guitar Tuna, Tuna. So sadly, we all should be in tune all the time, because there's free tuners available. I just heard an interview with a very experienced guitar player, and they said, "Hey man, you got all this gear. What would you say is the most important piece of gear that you have? You know, I see all these effects pedals, and I see your amp, and he said, my tuner. My tuner is the most important piece of gear. He wasn't joking. He said, I'm not joking. That's the most important piece of gear. Yeah. Okay, so I saw, Bill, I haven't forgotten your dumb question, but I saw someone. Okay, John, I think I'm going to grab your question, John, and then we'll do our guitar play along, and I won't forget about you, Bill. You guys know this whole thing is recorded, right? And say you got to bug out of here and go back to the real world. You can watch this whole thing again. I think it doesn't take too long before YouTube releases this as a video you can watch anytime, right? So, and I got a whole playlist. This is number 21, right? So there's 20 before this one. And we've come a long way, haven't we, in 20 live streams. Okay, so John, your question. John says, when you improvise, does that mean using a mode? Sort of. For our purposes right now, a mode for our purposes is just another word for a scale. A mode is a scale. It's a scale from another viewpoint. So if we want to use the word scales and modes interchangeably, which I think is a great idea at this moment, yeah, when you improvise, you choose a scale that you think, and hopefully we all agree, is an appropriate scale to improvise with, either for the entire song, which is possible, or certainly for that moment of the song. So a song that's a blues song in the key of A, the A blues scale, I know, you know what I'm going to say, right? Is an appropriate scale to use. Even when the band changes to other chords within the song, it doesn't mean necessarily that you have to change away from the A blues scale. I would certainly start with just stick with A blues scale for the entire, say you're playing with one of those YouTube blues backing tracks, A blues scale for the entire backing track. But sure, in moving forward, you could change to a D blues scale, say when the band moves to the 4 chord, the D7 chord, okay, when the song shifts, you could change to an appropriate, to the blues scale that's named after that chord. The band changes to a D7, excuse me, you change to a D blues scale. The band changes to an E7, you change to an E blues scale. The band goes back to an A7, and you change to an A scale. If that makes no sense, if you don't know quite what I'm talking about, that is okay. Just stick with the A blues scale. So John, so the answer to your question, you said when you improvise, does that mean using a mode? Yeah, you're using a mode, a scale, whatever you want to call it. Is that the only way to improvise? No. Some of us do not have fast fingers. My friends, I do not have particularly fast fretting fingers. I'm not being modest. I'm being I just don't, yet, remember our favorite word here, right? Yet. I'll get faster someday. My right hand is raring to go. What's the workaround? When you're improvising, you grab a chord and you play the chord fast. That means your left hand is going to grab something. I'll show you in a second. Your left hand is going to grab something and it's going to stay there while your right hand plays fast. So now we're no longer dependent on your left hand fingers to go super fast because your right hand is going to take care of it. Okay, give me a moment to... Okay, so I'm going to improvise for a second in the key of E. Yeah, why not? Why not? I know what I'm going to do. We're going to find out together. I'm going to improvise in the key of E. And in general, my fretting hand is mostly going to play little bite-sized dominant 7th chords up and down the neck, focusing on the skinny strings. And my right hand is going to jump in and do little arpeggios on those notes. And for those of you who are watching, not listening, you will see in general, my left hand will grab something and stay there, So John, this gets to your point. I'm going to be improvising. Trust me, I'm going to be improvising. But I'm not thinking in terms of scales. I'm thinking in terms of chords. I will not put this in the description of this will not be tabbed out in the description of this video, sadly, because it's going to be a hot mess and it's going to be a whole bunch of notes. That's okay. Okay, so improvising in the key of E, 2, 3, 4. That's my stock turnaround. I couldn't resist that one. Okay, so was that helpful? You know, my left hand would grab something, my right hand would dance around a little bit. You know, that's how you give the illusion of playing fast when your fretting fingers are not particularly fast. I don't know. Okay, how about it's about 1 hour in? Let's do our. Oh, you got a pencil? Grab a pencil or a pen, paper, because I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do, but you might want to make a note. Okay, my friends, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Bob Dylan. Let's do it. I got a ticket to see Bob Dylan in a couple of weeks. He's coming through Connecticut, and I got a ticket to see him. Okay, so we are about to do a global play along, because I know we have people outside the US here. So we're going to do a global play along like we did last time on Helpless, Neil Young with Crosby, Stills and Nash. Now it's Bob Dylan. Okay, you ready? We got your pencil handy. Here's what it's going to be. The chord progression: G for 2 counts, D for 2 counts, A minor for 4 counts. And then it starts over again with a twist: G for 2 counts, D for 2 counts, just like before, but C for 4 counts. And I'm going to show you this on the screen because some of you will be watching this in the future, and you can just pause the video and make a note. What I'm showing you, by the way, we have Bob Dylan's version down here with no capo: G twice, D twice, A minor 4, G twice, D twice, C 4. If some of you are Guns N' Roses fans, here's how you can play along with a Guns N' Roses version. First of all, capo at the 4th fret, and then you're going to play D twice, A twice, E minor 4 times, D twice, A twice, G 4 times. That's the Guns N' Roses. We're going to go with a Bob Dylan original version. So are you ready? Okay. Partway through, I'm going to not sing. I'm just going to strum the chords because I hope you guys can improvise. How are you going to improvise on top of Bob Dylan's version, the original version of Knocking on Heaven's Door? We're in the key of G. Remember, G, D, A minor, G, D, C. We're in the key of G. All you need is the G major pentatonic scale. That's what I would do if I were you. What is the G major pentatonic scale? Okay, for kicks, I'm going to illustrate it starting on the skinny string. You ready? Skinny string. 3rd fret, skinny string, skinny E string, open. 2nd string, same thing. 3rd fret, open. 3rd string, 2 0. 4th string, 2 0. 5th string, 2 0. 6th string, 3 0. Those are your options. Word to the wise, focus motion on the skinny strings. 3 0 3 0 2 0 2 0 2 0 2 0. Those notes make up the G major pentatonic scale. Halfway through our play along right here, when I stop singing, I'm going to keep strumming through the chord progression, but feel free to improvise using that scale. Okay. And by the way, this stuff I will put in the description of the video when we when I get around to time stamping it. Okay. How about if I strum through the whole thing one time before the sing comes in just to get warmed up? Okay, ready? G twice, D twice, A minor 4, G twice, D twice, C 4. That's the whole song. A trained singer knows to hydrate before singing. I shopped carefully for the vitamin water. Today's live stream is brought to us by Vitamin Water Power C Dragon Fruit. And it says it doesn't help you slay dragons per se, but the vitamin C does help you slay in general. Love it. Love it. That's why you read the fine print. Okay. G chord. 2, 3, here we go. Mama, take this badge off of me. I can't wear it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. I feel I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking heaven's door. Mama, put my guns in the ground. I can't shoot them anymore. Long black cloud coming on down. Feel I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door. All right, we made it. Yeah. So I hope you had fun, number one. Number two, hey, you might have noticed a few things. I was doing all downstrokes. Why? Because it felt good. It felt good. Why not? You know, for the most part, I was doing all downstrokes for the most part. I was trying to create a pulse so that all downstrokes were not equal. I wasn't as banging. I tried not to, right? You might have heard a little chunka, chunka. Right? So, yeah, on the one hand, it might sound like a, again, rudimentary, primitive way to bang on the guitar, but there's so many subtleties, right? You know, how loud are you playing each exact downstroke? What strings are you playing on, you know? But for the record, yeah, there's a strum pattern, right? Chunka, 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 chunka. Fits the song, you know? You might have noticed that I love doing C major where I get my pinky involved. My ring finger moved over to the 6th string, 3rd fret. My pinky jumps in where the ring finger used to be, 5th string, 3rd fret. This is, talking about this was what was going on in my mind when I would occasionally hit the wrong chord. I was thinking too much. I was thinking, oh yeah, I got to remember to tell them, like, that's why I'm doing C that way. And that's, there you go. It's all right. We're all friends, right? Yeah, so what else was I going to say? Okay, I left some room in there for hopefully you guys to play solos. Oh, even if you weren't playing a solo, improvising just now, this whole thing is recorded, right? Go back. It's your chance to put in nice little things. Now, you could solo the whole time with me. If you're out on tour with Bob Dylan, maybe don't solo while he's singing, right? You know, you're playing with your friends in a band, maybe don't solo during the sing part. When the sing stops, Mama, take this badge off of me. Then you put in a cool little thing, right? Literally, it's called a fill. You're filling the space. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll do this again. Why not? Let's do this every live stream. There's no lack of these tunes that are pretty straightforward tunes, right? Okay. Willie says, awesome song choice. I appreciate that, Willie. Thank you. Okay. A to Z me says, which one of us is singing? Oh, I hope some of you guys were harmonizing. I know there's 35, 37 people out there. I bet a few of you are great at harmonizing. I wouldn't be surprised if a few of you were harmonizing there. I hope you hope you were. Okay. I'm looking for the questions. I'm looking for serious questions. Okay, Bill R., I think it's time. Yeah, let's open the forum to dumb questions. We got 45 minutes about left here. I still have some things on my agenda. Don't forget, before I get to the dumb questions, I want to talk about autumn leaves. I want to talk about my Christmas book. I want to talk about Steve Cropper. I want to talk about the metaphor of chords as dinner plates. I'm going to get to all this stuff. If we have to go for 2 hours and 5 minutes, I'm going to get to all these subjects. And guitar humidifiers and my current favorite guitar album. We're going to get to all this stuff. Don't go anywhere. Look, everybody, look at your screen. 36 viewers, 36 likes. Woohoo! Someday I'll come up with a cool thing to do, like take a shot. I don't know, something. When the viewers and the likes are equal, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. Maybe taking a shot. I got to drive home after this, so maybe taking a shot is not a good idea. Okay, so now is the time for dumb questions. Everyone, get your dumb questions in. Bill, I'm going to start off with your dumb question. Bill says, is there a blue note in all 5 boxes of the pentatonic blues patterns? That's a great question. And the answer is yes, you got it. You got it. Any of you who have learned even one pentatonic pattern, remember pentatonic patterns, the same pattern can be called a major pentatonic and a minor pentatonic, depending on your point of view. It's the same pattern, like that 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. I call that an A minor pentatonic. It's also a C major pentatonic. I can explain that, maybe not today, but any of you who know any single pentatonic pattern, you also know almost all of a blues scale. Yeah. So, Bill, great question. And Bill says, I know box 1 and box 2. I haven't memorized, so I'm curious about the others. How often is box 5 really used in the blues? For our purposes as students, we're all students here, I want you to think of all 5 patterns as equal. Some of them we happen to learn first. Some of them are easier on the eyes in the sense that you look at it and you're visually, those dots in the diagram look, if not symmetrical, they look like a pattern that's easy to memorize, and some of them are easy to memorize than others. But I want all of us to think of all of those 5 pentatonic patterns as equally important, despite the fact that we usually learn one first and get really good at that one, which is typically that one I just showed you, that 5-8, 5-7, 5-7. Yeah. By the way, I'm not digressing here. You might think I'm digressing, but I'm not digressing. What I suggested for soloing on top of Knocking at Heaven's Door, it's that same pattern. Instead of 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, imagine 0-3, 0 meaning open, 0-3, 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, 0-3, 0-3. It's that same pattern way down the neck to the point where zeros come into play, right? Same pattern. Okay, so Bill, sadly, Bill, those do not qualify as dumb questions, but I appreciate the question, you know. Okay. I'm looking to see if Joseph, I'm sorry that you're no longer able to eat pizza. I'm sorry due to health problems, you say, right? That is cruel and unusual. I'm sorry for that. Remember, put those question marks first. If you're asking me any kind of question, what either serious or not serious. Okay, HGP. I see your question, Willie. I see your question. Gregory is pushing for more super chats. Gregory, I'm with you, man. Any of you who are so inclined, if you won the lottery yesterday, don't be shy. The super chat option is always there, my friends. Down at the bottom of the chat, that $sign. I appreciate it. Okay. So, Willie, I'm going to jump on your question. Willie says, when composing backing tracks, would there be a reason to choose a slow rhythm versus a fast rhythm, or would not matter? When composing backing tracks for yourself, I encourage you to do all the above, and so, Willie, this is how I'm interpreting your question. That you're saying, okay, I'm going to say do a backing track of me playing the E shuffle on the 2 fat strings. I realize this is a very monotonous backing track, but bear with me, and I'm going to record myself doing that for a minute, and then I'm going to use the E blues scale to play along with that. Okay. Then I encourage you to do it at a slow speed, medium speed, fast speed. Great, all the above. Great. The tempo, the speed of the backing track is going to provoke you a little bit, especially if you go faster. It's going to provoke you to improvise a little bit faster. Doesn't mean you have to, but it's human nature, you want to do something that reflects that rhythm. So Willie, my advice though, is to start off whatever you're composing, whatever your backing track is going to be, is to do it slowly first, because it can be stressful recording yourself. I like this live stuff. I can mess up. It's live. I mean, yes, technically, actually, this is being recorded. So yeah, ignore what I just said. But yeah, there's a pressure when you record yourself. So let's reduce the pressure. Oh, say you're going to do a backing track of Knocking on Heaven's Door. Great idea. It's a slow song, right? Make that your backing track. Record yourself, even just on your phone, and then improvise on top of Knocking on Heaven's Door. So yeah, my advice is to start with a slow thing, record yourself doing something slow, and then and then go as fast as you want in the future. Just don't get stressed out over it. HGP. HGP, I don't know why you guys think these are dumb questions. HGP says, I have seen in your videos that black curtain in the background. I want to get something like that. I've read about soundproof black curtains as well. How do I set up? Amazon, Amazon. There's actually, isn't there some name for it? Any of those of you who are in the audio visual industry, it's not just called a black curtain, right? There's some cool name for it. But yeah, just if you went to Amazon, black backdrop curtain, and that's easy to find. This one's way too big. It's way, it's the length of it. I don't know if it's 9 feet tall. I don't need that. What's interesting is the stands that hold the curtain up. And again, I should know the name for that. You go to Amazon will read your mind. Amazon already knows that we're having this conversation. They're already putting the ads on your phone. You're going to pick up your phone. I'm not even joking, right? You're going to pick up your phone and there's going to be like an ad for this stuff. But yeah, there's a special stand. I bet when you find the curtain on Amazon, it'll suggest, don't you also want to send us money for this thing? Oh, start with Sweetwater. I bet Sweetwater has this stuff. Same low price as Amazon, great customer service. And if you use the link, in fact, I'm going to do it again. I'm not too proud. I'm going to put the Sweetwater affiliate link in our chat here. So yeah, go to Sweetwater, type in black backdrop. By the way, there's tons of other colors. I feel kind of lame for only having the black one because there's plenty of other ones. Okay. So it's in the chat. All I know is if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. And consider getting some other color. Black is beautiful, but there's other colors too. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take a break from your not so dumb questions, and I'm going to zip through a few things on my agenda. Steve Cropper, today's his birthday. I love Steve Cropper. Steve Cropper is one of those guys who makes things happen. In my mind, he's the kind of guitar player who can co-write a great song, like Knock on Wood, Midnight Hour, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. He can solo with a cool solo when it's time to do that. He can play sweet, clear, hip rhythm guitar when it's time to do that. He strikes me as the kind of guy who probably has a lot of good ideas and is also probably a really good listener. So I think Steve Cropper is great. And happy birthday, Steve Cropper. And he came out with an album not that long ago. So Steve Cropper, check out what Steve Cropper does. He helped make Stax Records, what Stax Records is. Anyway, so happy birthday to Steve Cropper. Also want to mention Rocktober. Wasn't Rocktober remember Rocktober? People would say, if you listen to the radio in the, 80s, Rocktober, for the month of Rocktober, we're going to be featuring whatever. When did we all stop saying Rocktober? I don't know. I miss Rocktober. Okay, chords. Moving on. Chords as dinner plates. I'm going to make this quick, but here's what I want you to imagine. The same dinner being served on paper plates. Let's call them regular plates. And then let's say fine china, right? Food's the same. Plates are different. But if someone handed you a meal on fine china, wouldn't that kind of, you'd be in a different mindset, right? Like, so whether you meant to or not, wouldn't you just be looking at that food, experiencing that food just a little bit differently than if you got a paper plate without anything to support it, and you're trying to get back to your, beach chair, and it's like collapsing as you're walking on the beach or whatever, ending up with a lot of hot barbecue in your lap. Different experience, that hot barbecue. Okay, so I would like to encourage you guys to think of the chords that you play, the chords that you listen to when you hear other people play, as those dinner plates. The melody is the dinner. Melody is not going to change. Pick your favorite dinner, rice and beans, barbecue, whatever it happens to be, right? There's the melody. That's the song. That's what the singer is singing, right? The chords are the plates. You can put different plates under the same food. Why would you want to? Because you're a good guitar player. Because instead of playing C, you're going to play C major 7. You're going to jazz up the tune a little bit. You're going to change things. Maybe the opposite. Maybe did you see the little light bulb go off in my head? I did the opposite with Autumn Leaves. Autumn Leaves is a jazz tune. And I took out the fine china plates, those jazz chords, and I put in those nice paper plates that we know and love, like A minor, G, E minor. The jazz police are going to come for me any minute now. I can almost feel them at the door. But so see where this metaphor is going? Sometimes little things occur to me in the moment. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Autumn Leaves in a second. So think about that. Think of those chords that you play as dinner plates, serving plates, whatever you want to call them, and it's possible to substitute other plates for those plates, with the understanding that the melody, even if the melody is the same, the listener is going to experience it a little bit differently because of what you're providing. So, and it just happens that I did the opposite for Autumn Leaves. So we'll talk about Autumn Leaves in a second. Okay. Because heaven forbid, I miss something on my checklist. I was listening to this great guitar player, Eliot Fisk. When I really want to be humbled, one of the things I do is I listen to a great classical guitar player. And I recently read a little interview with Eliot Fisk, And I thought, oh, I've heard that name. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard his music, which is, my gosh, if I've heard of him as a non-classical player, it must be pretty famous, right? It must be worth listening to. So I've been listening to Eliot Fisk recently. Eliot Fisk did a beautiful rendition of a tune. And I thought, wait, I know that tune. Why do I know that tune? How would I? Well, the reason I know that tune is from a great album of guitar music. And the name of the album is Mambo Sinuendo. Anybody recognize this? By Manuel Galban. I'm sure I'm not saying it the way his mother would want me to say it. And Ry Cooder. Okay, so anyways, if you're looking for something really beautiful and different, Mambo Sinuendo by Manuel Galban and Ry Cooder. Should you listen to the album, there's a pretty good variety of songs. Everything from, some up-tempo, almost dancey, for, toe tapping. Let's call it toe tapping, kind of hip stuff, to a version of Secret Love. You guys know that song, Secret Love? Once I had a secret love. That's really just gorgeous. So basically this song has slow, medium, fast, a little bit of everything, but such tasty guitar playing. And the whole album is very, very tasteful. So anyways, I wanted to, every once in a while, I think of something, I think, oh, I want to share that with you guys. Charlie Beagle, you bring up Mason Daring. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mason Daring. Anytime I see his name, I'm curious about what he does. Mason Daring, I believe, I think of him as a composer of soundtracks. I don't know if he's a guitar player or not. He may be. But on his soundtracks, I think of Duke Levine, another one of my favorites, Duke Levine from the East Coast here. So when I hear a soundtrack that Mason Daring is involved in, I think often Duke Levine is the guitar player on the gig. Okay, check that off my list. Okay, did that. Mentioned Rocktober. Okay, let's talk about Autumn Leaves, because number one, it's autumn. Number two, it's a beautiful song. Number three, I surprised myself whenever I did this. I did this a little while ago. I mean, I arranged this tune a little while ago. I was surprised that our basic chords work for this song. Okay. You remember a while ago I talked about the hardest note on the guitar? Fourth string, fourth fret, that F sharp on the D string. Well, you know what? I decided to just man up, and I told you the Jazz Police. I did it now. We'll see. The Jazz Police are coming for me because I took Autumn Leaves and I played it with folk chords, cowboy chords. Okay, Autumn Leaves is full of that note. So I just had to man up, film the video, and just deal with it. Fourth string, fourth fret, the hardest note on the guitar. Okay, couple quick things. You only need 4 chords for this song. You do have to become comfortable with a series of melody notes that lead to each chord. Just the way the phrasing works, there's this nice phrasing, there's a nice situation where there's the natural spaces. The autumn leaves break, drift by the window, take a breath, and for us learning this, playing this, it's a relief. It's like, oh, every few notes you get to take a breath, you get to prepare for what's coming next. Quick reminder, anytime you hear the phrase chord melody, like a chord melody arrangement, when you're strumming chords, even chords you know and love, like A minor, your pick, assuming you're using a pick, your pick may not strum all the strings. So you have to keep your eyes open on the tab and realize, oh, wait a minute, even though it says A minor, I'm only strumming a portion of the A minor. Does not mean you should not hold down the A minor. That's, to some extent, that's a personal choice. I hold it down out of habit because I'd rather just grab an A minor and be selective with my pick than do some fraction of an A minor. I don't want to think. I just want to grab A minor, for example. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to play through it real quick. Anytime when you're doing a chord melody arrangement and you strum multiple strings, because that's what the tab says, the highest note on whatever the skinniest string is, you want to make sure that note is loud and clear, right? Watch this. The falling leaves. I'm playing 1 on the 2nd string. Now I'm going to do it. I still want that 1 to be loud and clear, but that 1 is going to be part of an A minor chord. Okay? So you got to prioritize whatever the skinniest string is anytime you play a chord, a stack of it. Here we go. I'll just do the whole thing. Okay. Yes, this is exactly what some of you may have seen in the video that I put out today. So hopefully this will whet your appetite to go watch the video. A PDF, in fact, I'm looking at my own PDF right here, is available at my website, song-bike.com. Okay, the falling leaves drift by the window. Happy autumn, everybody. Okay, so that was the A section 2 times. A. You may have heard that format before. That was the A section 2 times. Now, for the B section, I changed the octave. I moved it up an octave because convenience, just convenience. This is since you went away, the days grow long. We'll talk about that chord. Back down to the original octave, because this is essentially back to the A. No. I guess it's just the end of the B section. Here we go. Changing octaves again. If you want to hear that without all my talking, that's the video that I posted today. Okay. See how, in my opinion, it sounds beautiful, even though we're not using jazzy chords. I haven't had success. I hope to do that with other songs too, other jazzy songs. I know I'm simplifying it, but it sounds so good. Okay. That chord that I want to talk about, it's a D minor up 2 frets. This is your weekly reminder. All the chords, all the stuff you worked on down here, such as chords, that is exactly what you take up the neck when you become that great guitar player that plays all up and down the neck of the guitar. So here it's a D minor, up 2 frets, it's an E minor. That's all. Okay, so if you haven't already watched the video, please do. You can totally play this. And if this is the only jazz song, quote, quote, jazz song that you learn, great. If this whets your appetite for more of this type of stuff, great too. I hope to do more. It's a slow tune, which is always a beautiful thing. That takes off a little bit of the pressure, right? It's not like you learn it and then you spend weeks getting faster, faster, faster. Okay. There you go. Autumn leaves, and it's autumn, so why not? Okay. I'm going to look for, we got plenty of time here. I want to talk to you about Christmas stuff, but we'll get to that. I'm scrolling up to see if there's any questions I have missed, my friends. John asked an interesting question. Do I ever throw, John asked, do you ever throw a wrong note into a chord on purpose? Yeah. Yep. If you were to ask me why, I guess it really depends on the context. And it depends how you define wrong chord. When you are making your own music, you can do whatever you want, right? If I were playing a famous song by so-and-so, I would play it how they play it. So maybe that sounds obvious. Good. You know, you're playing Hotel California. You don't want to play any wrong notes. You want to play it the way they play it. When it's your own music, oh yeah. Yeah, there's I'll show you a little riff. I'll play it and then we'll talk about it. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can hear that okay. Now, this might not directly answer your question. When I was a much younger person, I thought, okay, I'm going to write a song, man. I'm going to write a song at my G chord. And I thought, what's the worst sounding note? You know, the note that I would never normally play during a G chord. And in my naive mind, I thought, well, F sharp. F sharp is the note right before G, right? So therefore, somehow in my mind, that was like a note you don't add to a G chord, because it's a G chord, you might know, is a G plus a B plus a D. And somehow in my mind, F sharp was like, oh. So I thought, well, what would happen if I did throw an F sharp in? Okay, so check this out. I've got my middle finger, 6th string, 3rd fret, index finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. I'm going to call that a 2-finger G for a minute. I'm not strumming all the strings, but you know, that's 2/3 of a G chord, right? My pinky is now available. My pinky is going to grab that note that I keep referring to as the hardest note on the guitar, 4th string, 4th fret. Oops. And I found, to my delight, that the note that I thought would somehow ruin the chord, it became part of what I think is a pretty catchy little riff. So I start off with my pinky already down on the 4th string, 4th fret. I do a light strum on the 3 bass strings in super slow motion. So far, it doesn't sound like anything too interesting. Okay. I then pluck the open 3rd skinny string, the G note. I pluck the 4th string, 4th fret. And then I resolve it in my little mind to a 2-finger C chord. All I did was take my middle and index fingers on the 6th and the 5th string and drop them down to the 5th and the 4th string. So I resolve this little riff to the middle finger, 5th string, 3rd fret, index finger, 4th string, 2nd fret. Okay, so much for playing a wrong note, because like I still think that's a pretty little riff. I got a whole little song that's based on that. I'll play it for you someday when it's ready, you know, when the song's ready. But so I don't know. That's one of the things that comes to mind. You say, you ever play a wrong note into a chord on purpose? I'll show you one more if you indulge me. One more. Okay. I was doing a finger picking thing, and I was coming up with this nice finger picking arrangement. Okay, it was essentially an A minor. The part I played for you was A minor going to a D minor. Like on paper, that's what was happening. So I had my little A minor thing going on. And now I'm about to go into the world of D minor. I did 5th string, 3rd fret, that's note C, and the open D string. In my mind, I'm thinking D minor, and I jumped up to get notes that reflected D minor. Index, 2nd string, 6th fret, middle finger, 3rd string, 7th fret. Those are, you gotta take my word for it for a minute, those are 2 notes that reflect a D minor chord. Okay, the problem was every time I rushed to get to those 2 notes, I would miss it by 1 fret. Ooh. Right? Not every time, but often enough. And so I'd have to do a quick little hop. I would, in slow motion, I would go, and then I'd make that Home Alone face. Oh no. And hop up one fret to get to the right place. Then Mr. Genius here thought, what if I worked it into the song? So, I thought, wait a minute, it sounds kind of good. If I do it every time, and so there you go. So when I do that particular song, now I can't not do that. I can't hit the wrong note and immediately go to the right note. By the way, that would be known as a little chromatic phrase. Okay, so you got my mind thinking about doing something wrong on purpose and resolving it to something right. And if it's your song, you can do that. Does that help, John? Or is that, I don't know. I hope that I definitely give you the green light to experiment with stuff like that. Okay. I'm reading some of these comments here. Okay. Excellent. Okay, let us talk for a moment. We got 15 minutes left. Christmas. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, I don't have it handy. Where's my Christmas book? I should have it handy here. Some of you might know, a year ago, I put out a Christmas book that is available as an electronic book. Oh, and as we're talking, I'm going to put it on sale, meaning that you guys are going to save 20% here. Okay, so bear with me, folks. I am logging in. Okay, I want you guys to consider. Oh, come on, man. I want you guys to consider preparing now for the moment when the holidays are upon us and you have your instrument and someone thinks that you might be the person to add Christmas music to the moment. And they say, oh, play us something on the guitar. And you think, dang it, Jonathan was talking about this way back when, and I really should have done a little something. Okay. Because why? Because you're so nice. Because you deserve it. You know what? You deserve it. Okay. So why is my little Christmas electronic book any different than anyone else's? Because, okay, is that what we got right there? Because it prepares you for a few situations. Okay, 20% off. Those of you who perhaps want to simply play the melody, either because you are like beginner, like you just got your guitar recently, and just to play the easiest possible version of these classic 31 Christmas songs, that's enough of a challenge. Great. Here's the beautiful thing, that months from now, next Christmas 2024, you can still use the same book for the other parts of the book, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. Okay. Say that you are a different persona out there, and your goal is to strum a song so you can sing, or you can go Christmas caroling, or everyone can sing in the room, right? The book has not only the words and the chords, but a strum pattern that works, that fits the song. And you might say, yeah, but I don't read music. How am I gonna learn the strum pattern? I made a video. It's a video. Just watch the video. The strum pattern is written out, but if that's not your thing, just watch the video. These are easy strum patterns. The book was not intended to be completely challenging. Now, before I get to the third thing I presented in the book, the first two things that I mentioned right there, the melody, the one string, one note melody, and the second thing, the strumming the chords, right? Where you just strum the chords and that's all you have to do. You can put those two things together, right? Anybody you know who plays the guitar, one of you can play the nice simple melody, kind of easy. The other person plays the chords. They're in the same key because I wanted to create that Christmas moment where two people can play together, So, okay, let's make this sale happen through, what's today? Today's, how about through Sunday? Okay, so this book is on sale. I'm going to put this in the chat, but the coupon code is LIVE20, LIVE 20, LIVE20. And the book that's on sale is called The Complete Christmas Songbook. Got it? Update. Okay. And where you're going to go to use this coupon code. Okay, don't worry, I got you. Here's the website, www.song-bike.com. And I'm not even done talking about what you can do with this Christmas book. Okay, so there's the website. And for 20% off the Christmas book, there's the coupon code. And don't worry, you don't have to do it right now. This is through tomorrow. I think tomorrow at midnight, if I did it right. Okay, there's the coupon code. Excellent. And let me just make sure. Yes, through midnight tomorrow. That's Sunday. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. So the next way you can use the same book, chord melody versions 31, the same 31 songs presented as chord melody versions. This is for you players who are a little more advanced. You want a challenge, you want to take a beautiful Christmas song, Silent Night. I hope that's one of the ones in there. I think it is. And you want to play it as a complete performance with chords and melody. A nice, full, beautiful sound. Oh, the song came out. I'm really proud of this book, if you can't tell. 31 chord melody arrangements of these tunes. A little bit harder, but some of you are ready for that challenge. And get this, those of you who are, you buy it for this year for, maybe you just want to do the Christmas caroling. As you get better, and you want to go beyond just strumming the chords, well, you've got all those chord melody arrangements waiting there for you. So you can, as you grow, the book grows with you. Okay, so check it out if you are so inclined. I would start now. Don't wait till Black Friday. Start now, and then you got it for the rest of your life. All right. Thanks for hearing me out, everybody. I appreciate that. So we got about 10 minutes left. Guitar humidifiers. What is a guitar humidifier? Well, if you're asking, it's because you don't live where it gets cold. Acoustic guitars. Who needs to humidify the guitars? Everybody, but especially acoustic guitar players. Number one, what happens if you don't humidify a guitar? Let's get right to the gory stories, the ugliness. The guitar essentially dries out. It cracks. Cracks appear. Things that are glued down come unglued. It's a bad thing, and it's doubly bad because it's avoidable. It's just avoidable, I've seen it happen. Fortunately, not on my own guitars, but I've seen it. I worked for many years in a guitar shop that did repairs constantly. That was a big part of the guitar shop, and my boss would say, "Ugh, look what just came in," and so I'd see lots of stuff. So guitars are made of wood. Wood has moisture. Moisture evaporates over time, right? Is it as dangerous for a new guitar? Is lack of humidity a problem for a new guitar that still has, ideally, still has plenty of moisture in it compared to a 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old guitar? Maybe not quite as much an issue, but why not? Even those of you who have brand new guitars, why not just make it a habit of humidifying your guitar? And those of you who have somewhat older instruments, anything that's not brand new, yeah, you want to do it, man. You do not have to spend a ton of money. You can make your own. You could just Google it, making your own guitar humidifier. But the commercial products out there are not particularly expensive. I'm going to send you to Sweetwater. There are guitar humidifiers that look like a little tiny thin green garden hose. And they drape down inside your guitar. There's a little sponge element inside. You soak it, you wring it out, you make sure it's not going to drip down inside your guitar. And then you essentially hang it inside of your guitar when you're not playing it. And it directs moisture down into the body of the guitar. Great idea. There are some that look like a black circle, still with that sponge element on the inside, but you put the black circle like a disc within your sound hole, and it not only directs the moisture inside, but it doesn't let it back out again. Pretty cool. But these are just a few of the ones that come to mind. And I've seen like different types of bags. The Diodario company, I'm a big fan of Diodario stuff. Diodario and their subsidiary, so to speak, Planet Waves. There's a bunch of cool products that are either under the Diodario or Planet Waves brands that do the same type of thing. So hydration. Speaking of hydration, so personally, if you don't, I hope you have a music shop on the corner, then you can walk over to and ask them what they have for guitar humidification. Otherwise, head over to Sweetwater and see what's in your price range, see what makes sense for you. Humidification is going to work best if the guitar is closed up into a case, right? To keep all the humidity right there focused. But even if the guitar is just hanging on the wall or hanging on a guitar stand, it's better than nothing to have something that's directing humidity into the guitar. Hey, perfect scenario. You've got a guitar room. You all have guitar rooms, right? Right? That special room that's nothing but you and your instruments, with your 10 beautiful instruments. In a perfect world, that room is humidified. If you're lucky enough to have one room, that's your music room, running a humidifier, it can't hurt. Unless you've got a nice tight door, it's not ideal. Many of you have probably been in either a Guitar Center or some other guitar stores that have an acoustic room with a sliding glass door, right? And I presumably one reason they do that is to maintain a level of humidity. They also probably do it to keep out the sounds of the crazy rock and rollers banging on guitars outside that room. Okay. Anyways, running a humidifier is not a bad idea, but that shouldn't be your only solution when you can, just for a few bucks, you can get a product that fits in there. I talked about making your own. You can get a sponge, a kitchen sponge, and a plastic bag, punch a few holes in the plastic bag, and you've got a humidifying device, for $1, maybe less than $1, maybe $0. I've heard people talk about using distilled water when you do any type of humidifying versus just tap water. And I'm sure there's a grain of truth to that. I defer to the World Wide Web. You guys can Google it, plenty of conversations about it. I'm just bringing it up because basically this time of year is where I live, small town, Connecticut. This is the time of year when people pretty much start turning the heat on. It gets a little bit cold at night. So I was always taught that when you turn the heat on is about the right time of year to start humidifying your guitar. In the spring, when you turn your heat off, you can, let go of it. Nothing wrong with humidifying your guitar year round unless you live in a super humid climate, and then you're probably dealing with the opposite. Okay, thanks for hearing me out. And I think I said everything I was going to say today. Okay, that was my end of my agenda. All right, I'm back to you guys. Scott Benedict says, I want to say thank you. I came across your older YouTube lessons. They helped me much. Scott, thank you. I appreciate that. Charlie Beagle, you're why I laugh. Wayne, talking about changing strings. It's always a good time to change your strings. It's hard for me to tell you definitively, hey man, every 6 weeks put on new strings. In general, most of us don't change often enough. Some symptoms that it's time to change strings. rust or oxidation, whatever you want to call it. The strings look weird. They feel weird. By the way, you can always compare the color of, say, your fat wound strings here on the neck to the color up here at the peg head, where typically your fingers aren't touching them. So your finger oils haven't got them all corroded. And if there's a profound color difference, it's definitely time to change your strings, okay? The color of the strings on the neck versus the color of the same strings up here at the peg head. Another sign that it's time to change strings, every time you go to tune up your guitar, the strings are always sharp. They're always tight. Essentially, strings get brittle and they tighten up over time. And if you're noticing that every time you go to tune, your strings they need to be loosened, time for new strings. If you haven't done it for a year, time for new strings. If you don't remember the last time you changed strings, time for new strings. Again, Sweetwater. I'm a big fan of Diodario strings in general, but we talk about Elixir strings. I've never heard about bad strings. I've never heard anyone say, or I've never bought a set of strings and said, oh my gosh, I regret buying this brand of strings. See what's on sale. Try something you haven't tried before. Please do yourself a favor, get light gauge strings for acoustic, also known as 12s. And electrics, I like 9s, 9-gauge strings. It seems to be very hip to use 10-gauge strings. That's, but don't, unless you are in a situation where for a fact you're going to be tuning your guitar down low, like every string is going to be tuned looser because you're going for a certain effect, which is very cool, then that would be an argument for the heavier strings. And I don't even mean heavy, I just mean heavier than what I just described, Okay. Wayne, I hope that was what you are. I hope that addressed what you're talking about. Hey, now's a nice time to say thank you to Beginner Guitar Lessons for being our moderator. He's been here for 2 hours. I know a bunch of you have been here for a while. Look at that, 32 of you crazy people. And amongst you 32 people, you have 40 thumbs, which I'll take it. Okay, now is your chance, my friends. I'm doing the 7th inning stretch. Never a bad time for a baseball reference. Pizza night in my house tonight. Leftover pizza night. Leftover pizza has its own charm. Don't pity me, because nothing wrong with leftover pizza. Leftover pizza is a beautiful thing because it's waiting for you. You don't have to, make it happen. It's just waiting there for you. So leftover pizza is in my plan tonight. My friends, next Saturday, I don't think there will be a live stream next Saturday, but stay tuned. Parents' weekend at my son's college, and I just don't foresee it happening. So it could be 2 weeks before I see you again. If anything changes, if I decide that doing this on a Sunday night makes more sense, I will let you guys know on social media. Head over to Instagram, head over to Facebook. You can find me by doing a search for the term Songbike, Songbike. I know some of you have done this because I've seen your names pop up. So-and-so is now following you. You guys have a lot of recognizable names here. So when I see the name pop up, I'm like, that's that person from the chat, from the live stream. That is absolutely how I will tell you, hey, guess what? We got home early. I'm going to do a Sunday live stream, or, whatever, and I think the stuff I post is kind of interesting. When I post recently, I posted a little happy birthday to Steve Cropper with a cool video of Steve Cropper. I shared that Pat Metheny talking about how listening is such a significant part of being a good musician. I post musical stuff, so I encourage you to, why not? Follow me on social media. Why not? Charlie Beagle is asking about my son. My son, who is no longer playing the tuba. My son played the tuba through high school and is now, I don't want to say using his time more wisely, but making choices to do other things with his time, such as studying hard and being a member of the swim team at his college. Dude, college, this is Division III sports, but being on a Division III college sports team, it's like a part-time job, easily 15 hours a week. Whoa, is that a commitment? Hey, Don. Don is saying hello from Canada. Hey, Don. Don, whereabouts are you in Canada? I'm always curious. As I said last time, I love knowing where you guys are specifically. Always fun hearing about different town names, and certainly anyone outside the continental U.S. Since I can't go there anytime soon, being self-employed, I got to keep to my routine here. I got to keep my nose to the wheel. Nose to the grindstone. I don't know. It's been 2 hours. But I love hearing about these exotic places around the world, like Denmark and Canada, because even though I can't go there right now, someday. Calgary. Don is in Calgary. Excellent. Beginner guitar lessons. I did not see your question. Okay, so let's get to your question. I'm scrolling up. Don't worry, you don't have to ask it again because I can see your name. Because if you're the moderator, you are in that bright blue color. So I don't see your question though. Beginner. Okay, hold on. Now I see it. Okay, I see it. Bear with me. Okay. Okay, beginner guitar lessons. Asked. 7th fret on the D string. Got it. And 6th on the G string. And A add 7th fret on the D. Got it. Those two notes, 7 on the D string. That's the note A, okay? And 6 on the G string. It's a note C sharp. Those two notes are 2/3 of an A major chord. So I'm going to, just to be clear, 2/3 of an A major chord. So I'm not, are you including the open B string? No, you're not. So those two notes, technically, it takes 3 notes to make a chord. So far we only have 2. So I'm going to scroll down beginning guitar lessons. You can clarify for me here. Hey, did I see another? I can't help. I see these super chats, and I feel the urge to thank Stephen again for his super chat and thank Gregory again for his super chat. You guys, it's not too late to contribute to the cause. Beginning guitar lessons. I love that chord. Okay, so beginning guitar lessons is talking about those two notes. I had it right, but then I'm going to strum with my pick. I would tell you guys, I'm going to digress for a minute. I love these little red Dunlop picks. They used to call them little stubbies. I think now they might just call them stubby. A little 1 millimeter red pick. I don't know why. When you find a pick you like, buy bags of them. There's no guarantee they all keep making them. Jessica, hey Jessica. Okay, so the name of that chord, yes, I would call that an A add 9, and I love it. And then you asked about moving it up the neck. The reason why that chord sounds so good is that open A string. There's our root note right there, right? So that's defining the chord as some type of A chord right from the start. And then we're kind of fleshing it out with the 4 treble strings. So does it work up and down the neck as an add 9 chord? No, because sadly, even if your 2 fingers go up and down the neck, the open strings can cause all sorts of havoc. Because remember, the open strings are not going to change. So, but don't let me stop you from using that chord. I love acoustic guitar chords that involve a bunch of open strings, because it's letting the whole instrument vibrate, right? It's doing what it was meant to do. By the way, this indirectly explains why I hate bar chords. I just hate them. Because what are you doing? You're choking off the neck. Literally, you're choking the neck of the guitar, I mean, I realize that this is a weird segue, but everything I like about the chord that beginning guitar lessons brought up here. The vibrations, the open ringing sound. Oh, it's like taking a deep breath. Everything I like about that is like, I don't know. There's something so utilitarian about a bar chord. It's like, well, let's sacrifice everything for the sake of some chord that someone thought was important. You know, I don't know. That's I'm digressing. But yeah, beginning guitar lessons. Love the chords. Sadly, we can't slide it up and down. Okay, Joseph Glasso is suggesting go to a guitar store if one's around or camping. Join someone playing on the campfire, asking to borrow a cheap ukulele. You talking about things that I could do to to at least, if not see another part of the world, to relax. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. Jessica, you're reminding me of that. You said chop wood, carry water. I have no idea what the context is, but what I think of is that Van Morrison song called, I think the song is called Enlightenment, and the album is called Enlightenment. I love that whole Van Morrison album called Enlightenment. Chop that wood, carry water. So when I hear that phrase, I think, oh yeah, Van Morrison. I'm a big Van Morrison fan. I mean, who isn't? But hey, since I'm thinking of his name. Okay, my friends, 2 hours, 8 minutes. I think I've said everything worth hearing and a little bit more. Probably no live stream next Saturday. Follow me on social media for all the updates. That means I'm going to wish you happy Halloween now. I hope you have a great time on Halloween. It's a weird night. Halloween is a Tuesday night or something. It's a weird night to party. But however you celebrate Halloween, if you celebrate Halloween, I hope you have a good time. And I think I had this idea that we'd do Monster Mash, and here I am. It's too late to do Monster Mash. We'll do Monster Mash at some point, maybe for next Halloween. I have a cool presentation on Monster Mash. It's not a hard song. I mean, it's G, E minor, C, and D. But watch out, it goes to a bridge. And the bridge is C to D back and forth. And the bridge comes up a couple times. By the way, when I was talking about Autumn Leaves does not have an A form. So the Jazz Police, they're going to just ignore me at this point. They're going to say this joker doesn't know what he's talking about. I think it'd be fair to say Autumn Leaves has an AABC, maybe AABC is how I describe that form. I'm saying it now because I would be thinking about it 3 days from now, and I'd think, oh crap, I got that wrong. So I'm saying it now, so now I'll sleep better tonight. Okay, time to say a few good nights. Charlie, Stephen, Willie, Joseph, Bobby. Who else is alive and well? Beginning guitar lessons, Jessica, Dawn. I'm just scrolling up here. I'm just saying names. Michael, Wayne, Scott. Thanks for being here, everybody. If I did not say your name, you're in my thoughts. Nevertheless, I'll see you guys down the road in 2 weeks for sure. Keep those questions coming. I love your questions. And I'm sure I'll have some new things to think about. Couple reminders. If you're going to shop at Sweetwater, use the link in the chat. If you are so inclined, get yourself a copy of that Christmas book, save 20%. Please remember, it's an electronic book. You will receive an email with a PDF copy of the book. It's a beautiful thing. If the printing is too small, you can make it bigger. You can print out just what you need. You can save a tree, right? Print out just the songs that you want. Did I mention that the songs have lyrics, not just one verse, but however many verses there are, you get the complete lyrics. I'm not going to just give you guys one little verse and say, Google it, figure out the rest. No, you got all the lyrics right there, but save yourself the 20%, and just make sure you do it before Sunday at midnight. So sometime basically the next 30 hours or something. All right. Charlie Bigo says, go eat that pizza. And I shall. All right, you guys. See you down the road. Be well. As a fire chief said to me once, make good choices. The fire chief was at a meeting. He said, I'm going to be gone this weekend. He looked around the room at all of us volunteer firefighters. He said, make good choices. Words to live by. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the super chats. I'll see you down the road. Take care. Bye.